Good afternoon and welcome to Edgewater Health, Mind, Body, and Spirit Wellness Program. I am LaTanya Woodson, the Director of Community Health Education right here at Edgewater Health. In honor of Women's History Month, I am so excited because today is dedicated to women. Our topic for discussion is empowering women towards better health. And you know, as a woman, for self-care, it takes more than just our nails, our makeup, our hair, and making sure our outer appearance is on point. We gotta go the extra mile, right? But truth be told, many times we do not, because we are so focused on taking care of others and we neglect ourselves. So today, this afternoon, we have one of my favorite physicians on speaking on empowering women towards better health. But before I introduce our featured speaker, I want to encourage each and every one of you to visit Edgewater's Facebook page. Click like and share and learn more about our services, our programs, our upcoming events, and most importantly, we're turning 50 years old. So in June, we're going to be having an awesome gala, and we want each and every one of you to be a part of that and to celebrate with us. So on to our speaker. Dr. Deborah McCullough has devoted her entire professional life to being an advocate for women and infants. At a very young age, she witnessed the limited resources available for women, particularly pregnant women and women of color, and she vowed to do something about it. After attending Indiana University School of Medicine, her credentials led her to the Department of Gynecology at Cook County Hospital in Chicago. Dr. McCullough then established a private practice in obstetrics and gynecology in Northwest Indiana. She also served as staff physician in area hospitals such as Methodist Hospitals, St. Catherine Hospital, and St. Mary Medical Center. Dr. McCullough has been a guest lecturer and or guest instructor in many cities across the U.S., as well as Bamberg, Germany, Okinawa, Japan, and Kapsabet, Kenya. Dr. McCullough shares with her patients, you only have one life, so make the best of it in a healthy and productive way. Please help me welcome to the podium, Dr. Deborah McCullough.
That was a lot.
It's you. Thank you, everyone. I am so happy and blessed to be here today and for this very important topic on empowering women toward a better health. Why is that important? Anybody know? I don't.
Longevity.
Right. But there's several things that encompass us to make better health. It can be physical. It can be mental. It can be emotional. It can be a combination of all of these things. The physical can be a part of the mental. The mental can be a part of the emotional well-being. The well-being can be a part of the physical. All of these avenues are very important to us and to the women in our well-being. This is a very important slide. How high can chronic disease burden among us in the U.S.? What does that mean? Look at this chart, and it shows us, where we stand. What is chronic disease? Chronic disease in the United States means any disease that are two diseases that women have. It can be high blood pressure, heart disease, asthma, lung disease, diabetes. All of these are considered chronic diseases. And the United States measures up to 20% of the population. This means that we have at least two diseases out of all of those diseases. In Germany, they have maybe one disease. Let me try. Germany has one disease. But as time goes on, it shows that the United States is the highest in population, fathering more than two diseases. Most of us do have more than two diseases. Yes, besides high blood pressure. And then if you're Afro-American, you definitely have more than two diseases. Usually the asthma, lung disease if you smoke. You have the high blood pressure. You might have the high blood pressure and diabetes. You might have lupus. You know, all of these are diseases that we tend to have as women, and more than two of them in the Afro-American population. Now, what reasons do we have? How do we empower ourselves? Stress is one. That is one of the basic reasons why we do have this problem. But when we have overall well-being, we are supposed to have a good, fulfilling life. By overdoing what we do, we're more likely to lead a healthy and fulfilling life. Number two, reproductive health. What does that mean, reproductive health? Why is it essential for us to have family planning? Why is it important?
So you can be responsible parents.
Exactly. That's one reason. So we can control our neighborhood, so we can be in control of the family, so we can empower our whole community. Economically, why is this important for us to be empowered? Why is this to be? So that we can control our income, we can drive the economic growth of our community. What does that mean? In your community, how are you going to drive the economic growth? That means if you're in a particular area and you have a population, and you are having, you live in a population where the economy is growing and you are in good health, that makes you feel good. Therefore, you're able to what? Plant flowers, put trees out, make your community look better, and as much better, the whole population or that whole community is feeling much better and more populated. When we're empowering women also, we have gender equality. What is gender equality? It means women have control over their bodies. You know, in certain states, they're taking over this or taking away this big ordeal. We cannot control our bodies. Who said that? Why should we not be able to control ourselves? Why should I not be able to get a pap smear? Why should the insurance say, oh no, you can't have this. You want to do this, but you don't want to do that. And the insurance company, but you're paying for it. So in this particular, you have control of your bodies and you make the decision of your health. And the insurance company is where you are the populace, or you are the most important person in determining this factor. When we are doing this, we're ensuring some affordable and quality health care situations. And how do we do that? By having what? Health care coverage. We have to have health care coverage. And as women, do you know the top 3 organizations are all run by women? The top 3 organizations we have here in Northwest Indiana are run by women. So that means that they are eliciting mighty, mighty amount of power. You see? Okay? By doing that, when we are in charge, we have services such as prenatal care, good prenatal care, we have maternal health services, and we have reproductive health. Indiana right now is voted number 3 in the worst Black mortality rate. So we have to be in charge of this. We have to correct these values. We have reproductive health services, meaning we have family planning. A lot of places have not been told that they can have family planning. We're told that we can't offer family planning. Why? Because we can't afford it, we don't deserve it, we are not in line with it. This is not true. We have to take this power over, and by empowering women, we are in charge of all of this, all of these values. We have to get good screening. A lot of times women do not think that they deserve or have the ability or have the time even to have screening. What is screening? Mammogram, pap smears, exactly, colonoscopy, all of these things, lung, pulmonary function tests, all of these are tests that we need to have, and don't let anybody tell you don't have it.
Okay.
You need to have them. It might be at a certain age, you know, at the age of 40, they said have a mammogram, but if you have a problem or you feel a mass at the age of 28, you can get an ultrasound first and then get a mammogram. Don't wait until you're 40 and say, well, that's the age that they said I have to come and have this done. This is not acceptable. In the Afro-American family, we have the highest amount of breast cancer. So we need to start telling our young ladies much earlier, examine your breast after your menses. Do not do it while you're on your period. Then at the age of 28, examine your breast. I mean, you can continue to examine your breast, but make sure if you notice anything unusual, have an ultrasound done. After the ultrasound is done, then they'll go to a mammogram. Do not wait. Do not wait. One of the youngest patients that I have noticed has been 18 years old that was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she had bilateral breast cancer and had a mastectomy. So it can occur. Don't think just because you're older that it cannot happen. It can occur. This is one I really like, the diversity training in health. There are 2 examples. When we go to the hospital or have a physical or see a physician, make sure that physician is in line with your values, understands you. I mean, I will give you 2 examples of how a physician should know and be aligned with your ethnicity. One time, this she was an older lady who was getting ready to go to surgery. And she told the doctor that her knees were knocking. What does that mean to you? No, she was in bed. She was getting ready to go to surgery, and she told the doctor that her knees were knocking. Exactly. She was nervous. That's what we would think of. The doctor stopped the surgery. The doctor stopped the surgery, sent her for an x-ray because he thought that there was something physical. So he thought something was physical with that. No problem. When she came back, she said, "Oh, I feel better now," that she had gotten warm. She was more impressed with, she was more in line with her family. But just the fact that that doctor was not in line or in tune with her vernacular or her speech process. Another would be as far as food. When we say we're going to do something, we're going to heat it up, sometimes your doctor does not understand that. He literally, or she literally might think that you're going to burn something, but you know exactly what you're going to do with the food. A third is the kitchen. Something that we had, one patient said she was having pain in the kitchen. What does that mean? I didn't hear you. She was having pain in her kitchen. No, the kitchen is in the back of the head. You know, so that's what I'm saying. You have to be aligned with your physician and let them know exactly what you're talking about. Find a physician who actually is familiar with you. You know, those are a couple of examples that we have to really exactly know what we're going to do and what we should be associated with. You do know what the kitchen is, right? Now. You didn't know what the kitchen was? We've known that from birth.
I've heard it before.
Yes.
It's not used. I don't hear it now, so.
No, because everybody has a process or. So that's where our diversity, I'm sorry, let me go back. Okay. The next one was assessing health care. When we access or have access to health care. Remember, I told you there are 3 big areas in this Northwest Indiana region that we have for assessing health care. Community Health Net, Edgewater, and of course, North Shore. But some of the problems that we have in assessing this is, one, transportation. How do we get to these particular places? These are our barriers. We have children. If you're coming for prenatal care and you have, let's say, 3 children, but you're coming for a health visit, what are you going to do with these 3 children that you have? You have discrimination, what I just gave you an example of. You know, the physicians are not in line or in tune to the different type of, let's say, atmosphere or ethical reasons of patient. These are some of the accessible healthcare problems that we have. Then social development. We need healthcare directly for our children and our families. These are all barriers that we have that need to be corrected. They need to be corrected in order for us to be better women, to have better health care, to have better family and we say community life. Empowering women's health involves providing preventive care and early detection. Remember, the things that we need to do are: 1, have your pap smear; 2, have a mammogram; 3, at the appropriate time, have your lower and upper GI. These are early detections of healthcare and empowering yourself by being a dynamic female. See, these regular screenings, vaccinations, we didn't say anything about vaccinations, but that's usually done in child care. Health education, help prevent diseases and detect health issues early, reducing healthcare costs in the long run. By doing it early, we prevent our problems. Women and mental health. Empowering women with mental health diseases. That's why we're here at Edgewater. If you notice that there's a problem mentally, what do we have to do? We have to first self-assure ourselves something is not right. Then we will seek attention. After we get the attention, we will be stressed, addressed, and the doctor will then be able to test any type of abnormality that is present. We must be aware, as we said, educate ourselves, access to mental health services, which we do have here at Edgewater. We have to know that primary care physician who will recognize how we feel, what we feel. We have that primary contact. We have empowerment through self-care, meaning take care of yourself. Do not wait. If you know yourself, your body, your whole mechanism, your familiarity, make sure you know exactly what's going on. If it's not what you usually see or feel, make sure you evaluate it and come and have it here at Edgewater or through a private physician. Then we have our addressing our social culture factors. What does that mean? Who you associate with. When we say mentally, let's associate with people who empower us, who make us feel good. We as women tend not to, as Latonya said, we tend to take care of everybody else. Everyone else. These are factors. Who comes first? My mother used to say, I'm sorry, I am selfish. You have to be selfish. You have to take care of yourself first. Otherwise, the others can't go on. So take care of yourself. Be a little selfish.
I can do that.
You can do that?
Yeah.
This is a little profile, and again, statistics. Out of 50, this is out of 50, Indiana ranked 38th in child health care. That's not good. They're 39th in women's health study. Awful. Indiana ranked 39th in chronic conditions. Remember, what are our chronic conditions? Anything that has a multiple of 2. Our high blood pressure, heart disease, asthma, TB. These are all conditions that are chronic conditions that we have been evaluated by. 40th is obesity. Out of 50, we rank 40th in obesity. 40th for frequent mental disease or stress, 42nd in smoking, and 43rd for physical inactivity. All of these statistics were as of 2022, but have gotten progressively worse. they have gotten progressively worse. This slide, and we always want to show you where we compare, where we are. You know, you hear statistics, but you don't realize exactly where it is. But here we have how many patients went to a doctor in the last 12 months, according to race, ethnicity in 2022. This is in the state of Indiana. You see, we're 11% compared to Hispanic, compared to white females, compared to all women. We are elevated. What we should, the normal value is about 2. We are at 11%, Hispanic 22%. How many women between the ages of 18 and older who do not have a personal doctor? Basically, all women should have, at 8%, a doctor. How many of you have a personal doctor before I do this? Okay. We don't, I see we have reached a max in here. That's almost 100%. That's great. White, 6. Afro-American, 10%. Our Hispanic sisters, 22%. Asian, 20%. Okay, here's a big one. How many women between the ages of 18 and 64 have reported having a pap smear? All women, 69%. White women, Afro-American, Hispanic, Asian. Now, with this pap smear, a lot of women say, well, I don't need one. That's not true. Or they say, if you had a hysterectomy, they don't need one. That is true. If you have had a hysterectomy, you do not need a pap smear, but you might need a pelvic examination. The reason, you still have your ovaries. And your ovaries are what determine what estrogen or progesterone is still in your body. It determines if your hot flashes, all of the hormonal values are in your ovaries. If you have a pelvic mass, the ovaries are still there. So even though you've had a hysterectomy, you do need a pelvic examination. But the pap smear only if you have a uterus. Okay? Any questions on that? Women ages 40 and older who report having a mammogram in the last 2 years. We're getting better, it says. We're getting better. The reason, because we're diagnosing it earlier. We're diagnosing our mammograms earlier. Our breast. You should start examining your breast when? In your teens. Notice that because most women are now starting on birth control. So as a result of being on birth control, you want to examine your breast prior to starting on the birth control. So 16, 17, 18, that's when we're doing our most breast examination or starting our breast examinations. Now, in finalization, how well have you been taking care of yourself? Have you gotten a pap smear? Have you gotten your mammogram? Have you gotten your upper or lower GI? These are the upper and lower GI are usually tests that you will take or get at the age of 50. Okay, at the age of 50. But the mammogram is done at 40. Upper and lower GI, 50. But also it can be done sooner if you have any other type of complaint. Fullness, pelvic pain, abdominal pain, enlargement of the abdomen. These are all ideas or problems that you might have that will require you to get an upper or lower GI. How well are you taking care of yourself? Don't let anybody else know your body better than you do. You are the number one. If you don't exist, no one else exists. No one else can survive without you. Okay? Any questions?
Once you start doing the mammograms, how frequently should we get them? Is it every 2 years? Is it every other year? Can you talk a little bit more about the frequency as we get older?
Okay. The question, how frequent should we have our mammograms? I recommend getting a yearly mammogram. The insurance company says every 2 to 3 years. But because we are, as we say, BIPOC, what does BIPOC mean?
Basically the same thing as a minority.
BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, People of Color. BIPOC. That's what that means. BIPOC. Anybody who is of color, female, should get your yearly mammogram. I cannot overestimate that. On the television just recently, one of the movies actresses was talking about she had been getting her mammogram every year. Every year she had been getting this test. Then one time, it took a little bit longer for the radiologist to evaluate her mammogram. She said, well, I'm just not sure, but let's get an ultrasound. So she got the ultrasound, the mammogram, and then after the ultrasound, the doctor recommended to get a biopsy. Then she got a biopsy and she had intraductal cancer. Now, even though the other tests were normal, it was just the fact that the doctor, which I really have to compliment, had a feel that there was something wrong. But she had been having normal mammograms every year. So, and especially in BIPOC, I'm going to do that now, BIPOC, I recommend getting the mammogram every year until, maybe until you're about 64, and then you can start having it every 2 years, if you've had regular good mammograms. And that's also for your pap smear. Like I said, pap smear comes if you have a uterus, take your get your pap smear, have it done every year, and then after, if you're sexually active or not, maybe every 2 years. But continue to have the mammogram, the pap smear for us. Never fear. You have to do it. You have to do it. Some women are afraid to touch their breast, so therefore they don't get the mammograms. And they think that it hurts, but they have done many new tests. They have developed new machines that don't hurt as much as they used to, and they're much more, comfortable in getting a mammogram. So get your mammogram, get your mammogram, get your pap smear. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
So what is your recommendation, say that the entire family has on the, from the men to the women, they get cancer, it goes away, it comes back, they go into remission, and it all starts all over again. And maybe that third time that they go into remission, the cancer beats them instead of them beating the cancer. So what is your recommendation for people who have family members like that?
Oh, definitely. You need yours you can start at 12, make sure it all depends on the physician also. You are not going to get physicians who are readily comfortable with getting x-rays, on a 12-year-old, 13. It all depends on this child, how they have developed. If they have developed, some young ladies look like they're 16 and they're only 12, so in that matter, you know, you definitely would like to get a mammogram on her if she is approved by the insurance company. You know, but don't let that sway you. If you have a strong family history of cancer, start much younger. 12, 14, 16, that's for the females. In the males, usually, that's really a unique parable, you know, when males have cancer. You know, so usually they would start much older, you know, in their teens. Okay?
Dr. McCullough, there is a gene detector also? Am I to understand that?
There's a gene detector. And that's why I said we need to start early and find the appropriate physician, radiologist, hospital that has that availability, because all the hospitals don't have that availability. Okay?
Does the insurance cover the gene protector? Because my mother, she passed of ovarian cancer, and the physician said, you know, maybe we need to, as sisters, need to go ahead and do that. So I'm wondering, they say it, or they, you know, say this is what you need to do, but they never say, okay, LaTanya, this is what the steps you need to do in order to get that done.
Who is the best advocate for you?
Me.
That's what I have to say. You have to push the point. For the ovarian cancer, you know, you get your CA 125. That is just a simple blood test. You know, it's not diagnostic, you know, permanently, but it is something that you can evaluate, and it will give some emphasis, you know, make you say, okay, well, I did it this year, let me do it next year. Okay. You know, follow those values, but your CA 125 for ovarian cancer.
Okay. Is there any other questions?
Yes.
I have a question. What does it mean when you have mammogram every year and they say everything is all right, but they say you have little dents? You
have dense breast.
Yeah.
I have that. Dense is just like it's fat. Dense means that it's fat tissue. You know, you have fat breasts instead of being lean and, you know. Yes, but there is, and it's real tight. You know, it's real tight. So that's what makes it dense. Okay, instead of out, dense. Okay? Any other questions?
So you spoke about chronic disease and someone said stress. So do you feel that the environment that we live in, or stress, depression, going through various things in our life, is that an onset of some chronic disease? What's your...
It's not an onset, it is for real. We live in an area that is very stressful, lack of, what would we say? I'm trying to think of, well, we live near a steel mill. We do not have jobs as readily available as we would like. We don't have the transportation that we need to get to various physicians. We don't have the finances that we need to get to various physicians. So we do have stress issues. We are in a food desert. A food desert meaning there's not a localized, a large, practical store that is here. We have, what I have seen, a lot of people have been going to the groceries, going to the filling stations and getting their food. This is another story I have to tell you. I have started doing something for myself to make me happy, and that's farming. I started farming. And what made me start farming was one time I saw a young boy at a filling station, and I was pumping gas, and he came out with a container of milk. And I was just saying, well, where'd you get that milk? He said, from inside the filling station. I said, okay. I asked the wrong question. Where does milk come from? He said, from the filling station. And this young man was like 9, 10 years old. So I said, no, how about a cow? He said, well, he had never seen a cow. So his idea of where food comes from was the filling station. You know, he gets bread from the filling station, he gets his milk from the filling station, he gets meat from the filling station. So his idea was the filling station, our gas station.
Yeah.
So that is why we are in a food desert.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we call a food desert. And we need to try our best to correct that. We have to start farming on our own in that little plot of area in your backyard. You can start raising your cucumbers, your tomatoes, you know, your okra, your beans, your greens. You know, this is what we have to start doing, being healthy.
And that's a form of self-empowerment, what you
Exactly.
just explained. Just going that extra mile and being intentional on taking care of self.
Taking care of
Taking
self.
care of self is very important, because if you don't take care of self, how can you take care of the rest of your family? But then be intentional. You know, my buddy over there, Chelsea, we're intentional in getting up at what, 5 something in the morning at the crack of dawn, meeting at a Vitamin T located in Maryville fitness center. It's rough. This morning was extra rough. I really did not want to go, but that is a part of being intentional. And we got to be intentional about everything, the way that we eat, sleep, getting your rest. Instead of, you know, watching TV, you know, to 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, knowing that you got to get up the next morning. Rest is extremely important, right?
And association, remember associating with like minds. You know, you were talking about, you went with Chelsea to exercise. That is sort of what got you going, because you know, oh, she's going to be there, so I better be there also. So get with someone who has the same ideology that you do, you know, and that will help self-motivate you. You have to be happy. Do things that make you happy.
Yeah.
If, you know, wearing certain clothing, if that's what makes you happy, do it. If you like cooking, do it.
Healthy cooking.
Healthy cooking. Because we're growing our products in the yard, so we're using that now. You know, but these are things to do. Make yourself happy so you are not depressed, because there are a lot of things out there that will stress you out. So you have to do just the opposite. You have to fight that feeling. You have to motivate yourself. And sometimes if you get to that point and you can't, then you have to get that other person that helps.
Exactly. And another thing that you brought out, it's okay to say no.
Exactly.
That's a part of self-care. Because as women, we have so many things, again, on our plate. We're always busy. We're presidents and leaders of our organizations, such as Dr. Johnson Woods.
Right.
We are the leaders in our community.
Exactly.
But we still have to take care of our families and take care. So what other, you know, gems can you drop on us as far as just making sure that we are balanced?
Well, I think you said it there. You have to self, you know, keep God in your life, you know, that number one, you know, physically, mentally, emotionally, and associate with people who are like you know, who actually think like you. That helps out tremendously. coming to functions. Educational. Keep yourself abreast. Like Indiana University has a lot of free programs, and it's called Cure. And I mean, for instance, they have jazz. This evening, I'm going to see women in jazz. They have how to take care of your telephone, your computer. Yes. Yes, Chelsea and computers, how, and they even, one class was on how to learn your family history, how to keep abreast of how to organize, that was one, and then the other was how to keep abreast of your family history, how to document it. So they have all, and they're all free. So look in your community, and there is something there. Don't come and say, oh, I don't know anything in my community. It's not happening. Yeah. It is happening. Get up, get out, do it. And you'll be very happy, be pleased.
Any other questions? Any? Yes.
Do you have any advice about menopause?
Menopause.
Any advice?
That horrible word.
It all depends on each person. It depends on each person because everybody doesn't have the same symptoms. Some have headaches, some have blurred vision, some have pain, some have sweats, night sweats, day sweats. Some people have none of those. The biggest one they have is mood swings. They're moody all the time. So again, you have to motivate yourself. You feel it, document, write it down. Okay, I see this occurred on the 16th, 17th, and 18th of this month. Let's see what happens next month if this is happening at the same time. If you notice that it's happening at the same time, then you can prepare for it. Exercise, eat differently, discontinue sugar, okay? Discontinue your sugar. So those are things that you can do to counter that feeling because you're going to go through it. Some people start as early as 40 and then some continue until the age of 70, I have seen. So everybody is different. Hereditary. What did your mother do? Check and see how that occurred. Mine never had any difficulty.
Okay.
I never had sweats and all that. But
Yeah,
my
I
mood,
really didn't.
But my mood.
My mood was one thing.
Because I know you said there's different things that can happen for different people. So, can I safely say that what I do have, will it increase? Will I have new symptoms or?
How old are you?
49.
Will the symptoms?
Well, like if I have night sweats, well, I pretty much, have sporadic moments where I have sweats during the day, So will I start having night sweats, say, 5 years from now, or can I develop other symptoms of menopause?
You will most likely continue. It gradually stops by the time you're 50.
I don't know. I know some women. I have some friends that has been going through this for some years.
Oh yes,
And
you're
I'm
going through it through years.
Yeah.
Because what's happening, I was talking about those ovaries that we have in our body. They have estrogen, and that estrogen is trying to dry. That's what's happening. So it doesn't go boom. It just takes its time. So it'll occur over years.
And that affects every part of your body, even with intimacy and all that stuff. Emotional, mental, your skin.
Your hair, it gets thinner. You know,
And I don't think women, I don't think we really realize it until we face with it.
right, and I think there should be more education on that. You should come, you know, so programs like this start
It's very
early.
important.
You know, it's very important because this does happen, and a lot of women do not know that what the symptoms are, you know, and a lot of men, since there's so many male doctors, they will treat you for thyroid disease.
Hello.
And it's menopause. And it's menopause. You know, they just don't
Wow.
relate to that. They do. They treat them for a thyroid
So do you think
disease.
it's more important when you're going through that season of life to find you a woman doctor versus a male, or?
I mean, who is more, you know, you might find a more sensitive male. You know, I haven't found them yet.
That was going to be my next question. Is it smarter to go with a female or a male? Because with me, with what I was going through, I had to switch my doctors to a female because my male doctor didn't want to touch and feel how he was actually supposed to figure out what was wrong. Once I got that female doctor, she did the touching and the feeling and then figured it out.
Right, definitely. That you answered your own
Wow.
question right there. You answered your own question right there. You have to get someone who is sensitive to your needs, sensitive to your problems, who understands. So that is exactly what you need.
And that's an excellent example of advocating for
Yes.
your own health.
Definitely, definitely.
Let's give Dr. McCullough a hand. I love those questions. Thank you so
Thank
very
you.
much. I saw one last hand. Did you have a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I was just gonna say, I suffer with manic depression,
Yes, ma'am.
but I notice I have mood swings sometimes. But I notice when I take the medication, my mood swings go away.
Okay.
Prior to the time, I was having mood swings.
Did you tell the physician that?
Yeah, my doctor,
Don't say the name, but did you tell your doctor that?
no,
Because,
I didn't tell him, but I'm gonna tell him tomorrow when I see him.
okay, well, I recommend that so that you
I
can.
have mood swings and I suffer with what she was talking about, the sweat.
Right, yeah,
Yeah, I suffer with it too.
yes,
I'm
that,
gonna bring it to his attention tomorrow when I go to the doctor.
right, that, you definitely have to let them know. They can't treat you if they don't know.
Right, and
Okay.
you know, I've noticed that some of the medications give you side effects too. So,
That is true. That is, so you have to decide what is best for you.
But
What
most
is-
medications
Give you
give you
side
side effects.
But some.
That's why it's, a lot of doctors, they like to, be holistic,
yeah.
or you do natural things, alternatives. What do you feel?
Well, I mean, that's true. It all again depends on their ethnicity, their background.
Yeah.
How they feel about women at all.
Wow,
You know?
that's true.
It is. And you have to find that person who has your best interest at heart. Who thinks about you, who touches you, who listens to you.
Yeah.
So with those factors, you can do self-help and you'll be a dynamic person, more dynamic.
One of my favorite
More
positions.
than
Now you all see why. Thank you so much. Let's give her another hand. Thank you, Dr. McCullough. This was so educational. Everyone engaged, and I know that each of you walked away with something. And as women, we must take the time, we must go that extra mile and be intentional on self-care, while at the same time empowering other women towards health. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming here, and also everyone that tuned in virtually. If you would like to be a presenter of our Mind, Body, and Spirit Wellness Program, reach out to me, Latanya Woodson and lwoodson@edgewaterhealth.org. If you want to know more about Edgewater and our programs and our services, feel free to visit our website at edgewaterhealth.org. And remember, at Edgewater Health, we take care of the whole person. Thank you, and see you next month.